Hi there, and welcome to IBAC Tech Trek. I am your host, Tom Reed, and today I am joined by Jamie Ross. Jamie is going to help me do some scientific investigation into brokers' use technology. Jamie, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, Jamie, maybe we should start off for our listeners, give us a bit of background about your brokerage and about yourself.
Sure. So I'm with Wedgwood Insurance. We are a big deal on the East Coast, but a small fish nationally. Pretty evenly split personal and commercial lines, around the 50-50 mark. We have a good presence here in Newfoundland with two brokerages in St. John's and one in Corner Brook, and are making strides forward to conquer Atlantic Canada in the coming years. Personally, I run the marketing and communication side of things. Don't come from an insurance background, came from ad agency life and realized I was going to burn out at 30. No hair to pull out, but still was going to burn out. So made the switch to insurance and have been here for 7 years.
Nice. So would you describe yourself or your brokerage as savvy, as modern? You sit on the IBAC Tech Committee. So how would you describe where you guys sit on that technology spectrum relative to the rest of Canada?
Yeah, I think we're pretty good. I mean, no one's got it dialed in 100%, but I think we're pretty good. I remember we were mystery shopped a few years ago, and of course, you never know when you're going to get mystery shopped. But when we did, the results came back, and I was like, I'm pretty okay with this. There's certainly room for improvement. We're pretty forward thinking in that we adopt and learn with new things as we go. So AI for me is nothing to be afraid of. It's something to be embraced. But yeah, we invest in our technology. We invest in our team. There's no amount of stuff that, the bottom line is the bottom line. Yes, we need to be conscious of it, but we're not afraid to invest in things that will make us smoother and better client focused.
Okay. Right. Glad to hear that, because the reason you're here is to help us dive into some of these technology questions from a broker's perspective. Obviously, we're going to have carriers and vendors and so on this podcast as well, but we want to hear from the actual user of the technology. So you're representing brokers across the country in this stuff. So, all right, well, let's get into it. Starting off, let's talk about tech stack, which is a interesting term, which essentially just means, what is the total of all the technology bits and pieces that you use. So maybe you can just describe your tech stack. What parts of that tech stack are actually integrated with your BMS, and if any, what is integrated with your actual carriers?
Yeah, great question. So I'll start with the BMS. We are an Epic shop. We have been since 2018. I believe we made the switch over from TAM. And so Epic drives the bus, so to speak, and we've got a lot of tools and things that integrate with that. First and foremost, from my side of the business, which is the marketing, is the marketing automation tool. Marketing automation is what we use for outgoing stuff. We've got PolicyWorks dialed in to process the commercial property side of our business. We use CSR24 and the insured mobile app. We've seen really good gains with that too. Ever since COVID, we started tracking use, because obviously when you're not in-house or you're working remotely, more and more stuff had to be digital for us. So we've seen big gains, 12%, 49% year over year of usage for that. Again, for me, the next biggest tool that is part of my day-to-day is our website. And so everything funnels through that, leads wise, prospect wise, and even to a smaller extent for existing clients. And we use HubSpot as our CRM to take inbound leads, what we do with those, put those in our marketing funnel. And the other big thing that we've been using this year, and we started, I think around January, is using Quandary for renewals. So looking at declaration pages year over year, and how we can efficiently go through and process our renewals.
That's great, because I think that a lot of brokers out there would say, right, we use Epic, we use PolicyWorks if they're a commercial shop, but the use of tools like HubSpot and Quandary is less common, I would say.
Yeah.
So if you think about all of the tools, including your website and other stuff, which would you say? I want to get your sense of which of those tools is most important for growth, which of those tools is most important for your client experience, and which of those tools is most important for your productivity. Now, they're probably not the same, but so if you can just kind of take a look at each of those three categories.
So for growth, it's got to be a combo of the website and HubSpot. So I think people think that that the website is not part of your tech stack, but to me it is. It's the building or the foundation. It's the building block of it. So HubSpot's been invaluable for us. We brought on a really talented personal line sales manager a couple of years ago, Lacey Crickard, who brought in HubSpot and made that part of our workflow. And it has really been invaluable to us. So once we take the customer data, client data, and pump it into HubSpot, it does a really good job of putting it through its funnels. We know the personas, we know where they're spending time, where they're spending money. Really pleased with that tool. From a client experience and productivity standpoint, it's probably Epic. I use the analogy of a foundation, but that's our cornerstone for everything we do in our day. From reporting and forecasting and client communications on the marketing automation side, it just enables us to make data-driven decisions and drives growth.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to switch gears slightly here. You're a relatively new member of the IBAC Tech Committee. But you likely would have heard of the Wawanisa API sharing initiative that IBAC initiated, is now being managed by CSIO. And essentially that whole initiative is around making the development and implementation of broker to carrier connectivity easier. Right? So can you give me your thoughts on that initiative and what you see as the benefits for the broker channel?
Yeah. So as a group, like you mentioned, it's been a major advancement for us and the industry. The more we can promote transparency and efficiency between brokers and carriers, the better. We've been banging that drum for a while now. I think anytime we can embrace data exchange and timely and accurate information, it does everything to move our industry forward in the right way.
Okay, awesome. And I think it's, from my perspective, it's a great example of various parts of the industry really taking the initiative, starting with IBAC and now CSIO taking the bull by the horns. I know they're spending a fair amount of horsepower driving that initiative, so that's fantastic. Speaking of the rest of the industry, what improvements, in your opinion, do you think brokers need from vendors or carriers, as the case may be, to improve some of these key pillars like growth, client experience, and productivity? What would you like to see if you had a magic wand that you could wave?
Yeah, so in preparing for this chat today, I went digging for a piece of data that we had talked about in one of our previous meetings, and I don't think I have the number quite right, but something we've been, again, I use the analogy of banging a drum for a while now, is better integrations between brokers and carriers. And the dual entry, duplicate entry, that wasted time, quick back of the napkin math, and again, I'm just referencing notes here, is we're burning around 300 million annually, and that's a conservative estimate. If we've got 40,000 brokers nationally and we're all wasting an hour a day times 250 work days, that's, at $300 or $30 an hour, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money we're all burning up. Aside from that, once we can all collectively pick our jaws up from that number, making sense of the data would be probably our next step. Any tools that can provide deeper insights into the marketing trends and what our clients are doing. This will help make more informed decisions. I think that's a good place to start. That's a lot to chew on, but yeah, it's a good place to start.
No, I think that's fantastic. I mean, at the end of the day, insurance is nothing but data, right? We don't actually sell a physical product, outside of claims. There's not a lot of hands-on, tangible physical stuff. It's all data. So better quality data, better access to data, better analysis of data. I mean, all that, as an obvious betterment. And speaking of the $300 million figure you threw out there, again, with IBAC and CSIO, we started to remediate eDocs. And I know another broker in your neck of the woods, Steve Earle, did the math on eDocs, and I forget exactly how much it was, but again, it was multiple tens of millions of benefit. It's so easy for individual brokers to say, right, one of my staff is going to spend half her day fixing eDocs, or a good chunk of her day doing double entry into portals. Until you really add it up and see what the lost productivity to the industry is, it doesn't really become real. When you start throwing
that's right. And that's right. So any business owner out there, you start putting real numbers against it. It's like, holy crap, we got a real problem here.
Yeah. I know I've given presentations on how the broker channel can take back market share from the directs, and it all boils down to finding ways to repurpose that lost productivity money into better marketing, so that the people who are surfing the web looking for quotes are ending up with brokers instead of with direct writers. So this isn't about putting new money necessarily, not necessarily about putting new money into the system, so to speak, but about capturing money that is like literally wasted.
That's right. That's it.
Yeah. Okay, so this is sort of my last question for you. So if you think about the experience you've had as a broker, the experience you've had with the Broker Tech Committee, what advice would you give to brokers who are not at the same level of tech savviness as Wedgwood is?
Yeah, I love this question because that got me thinking about how I entered the industry. So I come from a pretty strong marketing background, but not knowing a ton about the wider world of insurance. And the best thing that I did was just learning from your peers, going to events, networking. I know that sounds as cliche as possible, but anytime you can collaborate with like-minded people, like-minded brokers. I remember, what were they called? The Digital Marketing Garage from Aviva a few years back.
Digital marketing consultancy.
Yeah, exactly. So there was about 12 of us on this panel. So like there would be me in St. John's, and maybe there was someone else in Atlantic, Canada, but not someone, not too many more. And so we're all sharing ideas nationwide, what was working for them, what wasn't, had you experienced this, what can you learn from that? And man, that was gold. So yes, Aviva's dropped that tool now, or that session, but anything we can do to collaborate with others that we're not trading in industry secrets kind of thing is great. The other thing too, for me, is just when you're evaluating what you need to do, dial in on one thing that's going to give you tangible returns and just do it. So often we get dumbstruck by the amount of work ahead of us that it seems overwhelming. Grab one thing and start on it. And if you're not comfortable with it, just learn it, play with it, do it. I think a lot of us, again, are looking at AI and like, well, how do I leverage this? How do I do this? And you don't know until you start doing it. And we're always learning. But yeah, those two things: collaborate with industry peers, if possible, where possible, and just grab one action item, put it on your to-do list, and just start doing it. Carve out half hour, an hour a week, a day, whatever you need to do, and get it done. I'm a real list guy, so the more I can, put down and just carve out time to do, it works for me.
Okay. So your advice is essentially eat the elephant one bite at a time.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect. Thank you for fumbling through my analogies.
That's all right. Yeah. As you were talking, I was just getting this visual, because I've heard that before, because it can be so complicated, especially like even pre-AI, there was a lot of new stuff out there, a lot of different ways to do it. Some snake oil, some legit. 100%. And then all of a sudden along comes AI, and now everything is multiplied by 10. Right. And, there's some legit, and there's a lot of snake oil. And
thank you for touching on the snake oil, because you're right. Like, yes, I don't think anyone goes out maliciously to try and sell a snake oil style product, but you learn what works, you learn what can be better, and then you drop the pieces that don't work for you or aren't performing it, or just take too long to onboard. But you don't know until you try. The amount of, technology that we've trialed and then set aside, there's a lot of it.
Yeah, well, that's great. Yeah. All right. Well, Jamie, I want to say thank you very much for beaming aboard the podcast here.
Thank you for having me.
And so on behalf of IBAC, appreciate your time, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Take care.
The world of insurance is changing because the world of tech is changing. Join us on the journey at ibactech.ca.